Mic check. Good morning. As you may remember, this is exam week, so exam one is this week. So, exam one, it should be open, it should be live, ready to go. Accommodations should be in. If they are not in, just let me know. It is easy for me to not click a button. So, ask questions. I'll be here. Probably just go off cam, but I'll be here. Ask questions. Ask questions about anything, even if you're not in my class. I'll be happy to chat about anything. I'll keep the music, the tunes going. Welcome, Ashley. So quick question. Did you watch the lecture video? I guess let's look at, so IUPAC naming. I was trying to find in the lecture notes where I had done some naming. So I would go over this one. Okay. I just wanted to make sure that you had at least watched the lecture. And so, was there anything in particular that was giving you difficulties? Because really, this is kind of the rules, right? So you want to identify the longest chain. But then when you're like identifying the longest chain, you're also looking at kind of what groups are attached to that. So for example, let's say you have this and you have a chlorine here. Right now, that's going to change your priorities because without it, so let's just say, right, you have this molecule versus this. So this one we could name 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 with our carbons, and it doesn't matter. But in this case, now we go, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 versus 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we want to assign this one. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That gives us the chlorine, and then this methyl group with the highest priorities there. So does that make sense? So 1, 2. So how would you name this one then? So any thoughts on how to name this? So let's do it together. And you can always type your answer in the chat too. So in this case, we've labeled our carbons, and then now we can just name it. So the last part is naming it in alphabetical order. And so this case, the chlorine's on the 1 position. So 1 chloro, 2 methyl, and then exactly, so it's in the chat. So 1 chloro, 2 methyl, then pentane. So C3H6, what do you notice? What does that formula tell you based off of our alkane chapter? Yeah, exactly. So you could tell it's a cycloalkane, at least based off of, this first chapter, because you're looking at the formula C3H6, and so it has some degree of unsaturation. And of course, later we'll learn that it could also be like an alkene. But in this case, since we just covered alkanes and cycloalkanes, exactly, you only have one choice on how to make it in the context, again, of the cycloalkanes. And of course, chapter 12, oh, not chapter 12, chapter 13, that's when we'll go into alkenes. And so you could come up with other possibilities. So having a degree of unsaturation. You could also try a double bond. That should give you the same effect as one ring. And you can check your formula. So this would have 2 hydrogens, 1 hydrogen, 3 hydrogens. And so this would be the other possibility. But of course, we did not technically cover alkenes yet. And this compound, just to go with our naming, so it still follows the IUPAC convention. So you count your carbons. I'm going to give the highest priority to this double bond. 1, 2, 3. So this would be 1 propene. Let's see. You also have C7H16. And you come up with the isomers of that and their names. This isn't the one we did, was it? Oh, it was. Dang it. Okay, I don't want to do that one again. Let's pick a different one. Let's try hexane. So C6H14. So for these, how are you approaching them? So you can just start drawing out your hexane, your straight chain first. So there's one combination. Then you could try the pentane. So of course this is just hexane or N-hexane or straight chain. So then you could try pentane. Right, you could add that to either side. Either way, that is still 2-methylpentane now. And is there another version of pentane you could make? Where else could you put it? So how's it going? Any questions in the chat? Thoughts? Cat's in the way. Crap. Okay, music still works. Cat almost broke the setup. So then you could put it in the third position, right? So that's 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. It's the same thing. So this would give you 3-methylpentane as well. Ah, yes, exactly. Wasn't sure if you were still there. Then you could try with butane. So 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So where else can you put those other carbons? It's 2 possibilities. Yep, this one. So what would this one's name be? So either way, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, however you name it, or label those carbons, you should get the same answer. Yeah, exactly. So 2,3-dimethylbutane, butane. And then last possible isomer, so we put those on different ones, but I could have drawn them on the same carbon. And of course, we want to give highest priority, so 2,2-dimethylbutane. Let's draw out one and see if we can name it. All right. What is the name of this compound? Put on some thinking music too. All right, let's look at this. And so for this one, right, we have a ring in here. But either way, so you could label as carbon 1, 2, 3 or carbon 1, 2, 3. Gives you the same priority. Excuse me. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And so now we can name it. So we have methyl groups and ethyl groups. So this will be 2-ethyl. And then 1, 1, 3, 3, tetramethyl. Cyclopentane. So any questions on that one? So let me know if you want to do more practice examples or how you're feeling. So this is just going by like how many carbons there are, right? So first, I'm just dissecting it by the basic structure. Then I'm looking at position 2. And so we have these 2 carbons here. And so the 2 carbons just go back to corresponding to an ethyl group. And so just to remind yourself, so you have all these prefixes here. So if you have the 1 carbon hanging off, right, that's a methyl. 2 carbons is an ethyl group. And then if you had like a 3 carbon chain hanging off of your main chain, right, that'd be a propyl group, butyl group, etc. So that goes from there. And then so this is where the names come into it. And so if it's attached to 1 carbon, that's why you say methyl or ethyl. And so going back to this one, it's attached to 1 carbon. So this is our ethyl group there. Yeah, no problem. I actually found a nice page. I was looking for alkanes inspiration. But this one also gives, I can send it. At least I think I can send it in the chat. There we go. So this is the page that I'm looking at. But this one, I just like the picture that it shows when it's trying to tell you how to name stuff. So on this case, we have a huge parent chain. And so now this is just saying, now, like you're asking, here's a butyl group actually on there. So 1, 2, 3, 4, methyl group, propyl. And then this goes into some of the naming of the funky ones. For example, propyl is a straight chain. one, two, three, but isopropyl is where you have this little isopropyl group. So one carbon in the center attached to two. Sec-butyl. And this, I don't know that this would come up, but sec-butyl, this is where it's attached to a second carbon there. So instead of the attachment being here at the first, like with N-butyl, it's on the secondary carbon. There's the ethyl chain there. Here's an isobutyl group, so similar to isopropyl, except we just have that fourth carbon. Tert-butyl groups, this group may come up often. So tert-butyl, anytime you see the parent attached to the tertiary carbon, so a carbon there with attached to three carbons, so that's your tert-butyl group. Yeah, so that's kind of a nice review. And then this is just reminding you, right, the parent chain must contain as many substituents, so we're trying to give, again, the highest priority to those substituents. So in this case, this one's a little tricky. You have a 9-carbon chain, but there's only 2 substituents versus a 9-carbon chain with 3. You kind of break them down into smaller substituents. So this one's the correct one. And so you have to look at the ring and see if the ring has more carbons than the chain. So here's some other good examples. So in this case, the chain's longer, so the chain dominates the name. So now you say the 1-cyclopentyl, since it's attached to the hexane. I mean, I don't have anything specifically prepared for that since I would need advance notice unless there's homework or something that we could go over. But I don't have like a list or multiple choice just prepared. I apologize. I mean, typically you have to come up with the name anyways. Oops. They do have some practice problems on this page, but nothing of multiple choice like you suggest. So did you want to do more practice? Oh, I think I see what you mean. With the each of the following is incorrect. So we could do one of those. So it says something each of the following IUPAC names is incorrect. Explain why. You're talking about one of these, right? And so let's look at one of them. Oh, so let's just start with 4-methylpentane. So what's wrong with that one? So 4-methylpentane. What's wrong with it? I'll just draw it out. You tell me what's wrong with it. And so 1, 2, 3, 4. And so what's the problem with that? What's the real name of this? Why doesn't 4-methylpentane work? How should I really have labeled the priority? So of course it's the wrong way to label the priority. We need to give priority to the methyl. So this should really be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And really they're the same compound. We just wouldn't call it this. So what's its proper name? And so we'd name this 2-methylpentane. Let's try another one. So now we have 1,6-diethyl cyclohexane. So what's wrong with this name? There I have hexane, or my cyclohexane part. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 diethyl. But how else could we have numbered these positions? So how would we name this one? Of course, we can label our ring. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And so this should be 1, 2 diethyl cyclohexane. And then just don't forget the cyclo part, but that looks good. Let's look at this last one. So 1, 3 dimethylpentane. So let's see what's wrong with this one. So drop my pentane. So 1. Wow, my cat's attacking me because I'm not petting him. So 1. Let me label these. There we go. And so what's the problem with this? what do we just do here? What's really my longest carbon chain here? So for this one, now we have a 6 carbon chain when we do that. So once you construct it, now it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. But I want highest priority to go to this one. So 1, 2, 3 is how I'm going to label this. Because otherwise that would be 1, 2, 3, 4. So now this is 3-methyl hexane. Were there other questions or other ones you wanted to go over? So let me know if you have more questions. I'll just be hanging around on stream. Oh yeah, no problem. And if you still want to meet over Zoom, just let me know. Just send me an email. And yeah, just send me an email. That goes for anybody if you would like to meet by Zoom. Probably be wrapping up this stream in a little bit. I'll just keep it open and stay here for a little bit in case there are other questions.